We live in such dark times today. Humanity throughout history has always been through these cycles of positive, negative, good, bad, over and over again. This cycle keeps repeating over and over again. And now we're back in the time where times are dark again. And what we can do is actually one thing that many people need to do, and that's instill themselves with courage. Courage is all but dead in today's world because if more people had courage to speak out, more people had courage to say what's on their mind, regardless of what the consequences may be. And I'm talking about for the right reasons. If we had that type of world, things would have changed by now. But unfortunately, most people don't have that trait of courage. And I noticed that a lot of people, when they're growing up, they're not raised by their parents to have courage, to be courageous when it comes to speaking out against injustice, evil, or any type of wrongdoing. Unfortunately, everybody's raised when they're growing up, unfortunately, by most of their parents to be conformist, to conform to the system, kiss ass, that type of thing. We need to actually break this pattern. And this education system actually teaches obedience to authority. Don't speak out against authority, blah, blah, blah. Or if you do, you have to beg and petition the authority versus demanding and saying, we're going to make a change. You people aren't going to stand in our way. We as a collective are going to make that change with or without you. Because of the fact that people still give their power away to other people, their so-called leaders or politicians, not realizing that we all need to embrace self-ownership and collective ownership. We need to do that instead of depending on other people, trying to have a mommy or daddy through government or other individuals to do that for you. And that alone is going to take a lot of courage. Courage to live a life where people are self-responsible for themselves. Then after that, self-responsible for everything around them, which means helping each other out after done helping themselves out. Because we need to strike a balance between individualism and the will of the collective. Not collectivism, because collectivism is a form of tyranny. But I'm not going to get deep into that. What I'm trying to say is we need to strike a balance between the individual and the group. Because the individual will is just as important. The thing about it is that we need to have a society that has a healthy view of the individual versus a selfish view of it. Or a social Darwinistic view that most people unfortunately have. And we need to get out of this mentality that we need to sacrifice our natural rights just for the quote unquote common good, this collectivist nonsense. Despite the fact that no rights have to be sacrificed. And if you believe that, then that makes you a supporter of tyranny. That's simple. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that we need to have courage in the face of fear. What that means is that we at all times need to do things, no matter how scary it may be. You understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's actually learning how to actually do things despite the fear. That's courage. People need to get out there and do that. Because I noticed throughout my own personal life that there's many things I have fears of. For example, one of my main fears is going out and doing this right here, talking about these things, because of the fact that I'm saying a lot of things that are not going to be popular with people. A lot of things that in my style of delivering that message as well. That's something else that a lot of people aren't going to like. I have to actually get over the fact that there's going to be critics out there, there's going to be detractors, but you know what? All you have to do is just ignore them because they're just obstacles in your way. The fear, I was evaluating what is really so fearful about it. The fact that someone can prove you wrong about something? No. It's probably because of the fact that you don't like conflict. I'm that type of person too. I don't like starting conflict, but sometimes you have to rock that boat because if no one else is going to do it, you got to do it. Because someone else isn't going to come along and do it for you. Because I've actually found throughout my own personal life that life doesn't work like that. You got to actually do things on your own. You got to do things for yourself because no one else is going to come and save you. Anyway, that's one thing when it comes to courage. That's one thing you have to do. Number two is trying to change things in the face of the adversity. There's many things in our world that we have to change when it comes to raising human consciousness and whatnot. There's so many things that seems daunting, it seems impossible, but in reality, it's not impossible if you have the will to do it. Even if it is not possible to achieve, it's best to try, because if we start trying and despite how low our odds are to make a difference, then you'll be amazed at how many things will change in this world. Throughout history, there is people who have come along and went that actually did things that were impossible. If it wasn't for them, humanity will be in the worst state than it is now. That's something to think about. Remember that you definitely have all the power in the world to make a change in the world. You're not powerless. That's a limiting belief and a lie that you bought into, whether it came from yourself or from someone else or the establishment or authority. You have the power to make change. You're not powerless. You have the abilities. You have all the tools. You ask, what can I do? Well, if you don't know what to do, how about you study the subject? Then you can come up with some solutions. Particularly, you need to come up with solutions based in natural law or universal law. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go to my blog and go into my articles, Universal Law and the Critical Importance of It, and the simplified version of it called Living in Harmony with Universal Law. Those are those, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Because if we're going to make a change, it has to come from a place based in what is inherent in nature. That's one thing I've noticed, because throughout history, people have come up with all these solutions, yet they don't lead us nowhere, or they lead us into further enslavement in the long run, or even in the short term. Because of the fact that the decisions you make have to be based on what's in nature, what's natural, and what is outside these artificial concepts called human civilizations. They're all unnatural concepts created by dark forces out there to keep people enslaved. As much as people don't want to hear that, but it's a fact. Anyway, like I said, got to study the subject first if you don't know anything about it. You see there's problems out there, but you think that I can't do anything about it. That's a lie. You can do a lot of things about it, regardless of what your personal situation is in your personal life. Don't believe that limiting idea that you can't do anything about it, because you can do something about it, like I said. And another thing here is that we need to have the courage to speak out about causal factors to why the world is the way it is, because very few people address true causal factors. They want to get to the symptoms, or they want to conform to the symptoms. Like, what I mean by conform to the symptoms is that people want to just fall into the idea that we just need to tackle symptoms and we can solve the problem. We can just reform it, or we can just throw bandages on it. No, and more no. How about we go out and we actually try to destroy the old paradigms and the old problems, or the old things that are causing these old problems? How about that? No, because of the fact that a lot of people lack imagination. People are too scared, and they don't want to lose any friends. Because to say that we need to completely change everything is going to turn a lot of people off, because they fail to see that the problem is the system itself, or the problem lies in how we do things already. But people are all so stubborn to change, and people, when someone comes along and says like we need to change the system, they're usually ridiculed, mocked, and laughed at, jailed, killed. Then later on, discovery, they actually were right, but it's too late. Over and over again, it's just this pattern keeps repeating. Because people like me come along, we come up with solutions to the problem that we try to find out what the causal factors are, not the symptoms. And people like us are shunned and ridiculed because of the fact we tell people you got to get off your ass and do something. No one else is going to do it for you, because, to be blunt, your so-called leaders don't give a shit about you. And you don't believe me, you need to go look into what's going on right now. Because trust me, if the powers that shouldn't be really cared about you, the world will be different by now. You are completely oblivious to how capable they are to actually easily fixing problems, you know? And they're not going to do it because they want to keep people in the box. They want to keep people fighting amongst each other. They want to keep poverty. They want to keep disease and all this stuff going, because it's easier to control people, and it keeps people in a low level of consciousness. If you keep most people in the survival-based consciousness, where they're not focused on their personal and spiritual development, since they're more focused on getting the next meal or the next paycheck, then you expect humanity to stay the same. Most people either want it to stay the same because they love how things are the way they are. Unfortunately, they love it despite their complaints because they don't want to change it. It's an addiction. They say they want to get off the drug, but they can't be bothered to go through the short term. What's the short term withdrawal? That's going to be full of intense pain versus the slow, long pain that's going to go on a long run if you continue to give into the addiction of the old systems that we have to break down. And like I said, courage is actually saying no to these things, saying no to these old paradigms, and start thinking of something new. And courage is having some imagination to make a change, regardless of how scary or dangerous it seems. But most people, like I said, don't even see what the problem is. They just think that just simple reform, just like that. Not understanding that we have done this over and over again throughout history. And look how far we've gotten. We haven't gotten that far. And we're degrading right back to really bad things. Because like I said, we're living in darkening times. Because of the fact that humanity's collective decisions have gotten us here. Which tells you that humanity is not doing a very good job. And I know humanity is much more capable of this. That's why they really need to start, both men and women need to start developing some real courage. To actually start, one of the first things to do courageously is to actually start questioning their own personal beliefs. They need to question is my beliefs, my attitudes, my thoughts, and the actions I take as a result of those things are causing the problems in the world? Are those things causing a part of the problem? People have never bothered to ask themselves that because of the fact that they don't challenge themselves. They're too afraid to do it. They're so comfortable in their belief systems. That's because of the fact they don't care about real truth. If they did, they'll be willing to actually have to reconsider what they have been told as truth by the so-called powers that shouldn't be, by the so-called government authorities, the so-called religious authorities, and so forth. People don't want to do that because of the fact that they're scared of the unknown. They're scared of being wrong because a lot of people out there hate being wrong. You gotta understand something about life. Life is about learning. You're going to always be wrong about something. If you're wrong about something, don't be ashamed of it. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. You don't have to be. Being wrong about something is a good thing because at least you know you're making a mistake. Of course, when I learn that something's wrong, I like to learn it on my own. I'm not necessarily the whole type of guy that likes to be told, but at the same time, if the person's convincing enough, I'll look into it. But if someone just wants to throw things around and just be a critic, then I'm gonna have to look this stuff up on my own and determine that. I have to go into my inner divine self, ask the universe, hey, what's going on, But in the meantime, like I said, we need to actually understand that everything we've been taught growing up is a lie. That's something we have to understand. But many people don't want to hear that. And people are so comfortable in their belief system. They think what's wrong with it. I feel good with it, but you don't understand that you don't understand that it's keeping your belief system is keeping you trapped in this cycle, this matrix. It's keeping you from expanding your consciousness, opening your mind. That's something you have to understand. But people don't know it because they don't know what it's like to have an expansion of consciousness, to actually know what real freedom is that's not based in these archonic constructs. Because freedom to most people is who has the longer leash. No. True freedom that's based in nature, based in universal law, is actually having no leash. Because that's how the Creator intended. The fact that we reap the full brunt of our cause and effect actions, our right and wrong actions. The universe will dish that out to us. And like I said, no divine force is punishing people. If people are doing it to themselves, your wrong actions are going to manifest a certain type of reality. And when they teach you the law of attraction, what these people fail to tell you is that the law of attraction is just a small part of universal or natural law. Based in one of the 7 Hermetic principles. It's which is based on vibration. You gotta understand the law of attraction is more than just about attracting what you want in your life. It's about your behavior and your actions creating the type of reality around you based on those actions. Not only in your life, but surrounding you. Because We are co-creators. Not only we influence our lives, we influence other people's lives with our creations. Because this is a shared reality, contrary to what a lot of subjectivists, moral relativists, and solipsists will tell you. Anyways, like I said, we live in dark times, and we need to learn that courage has to be one of the attributes that we need to develop with people, along with pursuing the pursuit of objective truth based on what's in nature, spiritual and physical, personal sovereignty, and knowing your natural rights and your personal, like I said, in your natural right to that personal sovereignty, and integrity, because there's a lot of people in this day and age don't have much integrity. There's a lot of people out there who will quickly flake on something and quickly will sell their soul to this system. And when you sell your soul to this system, you're going to stay trapped within the system. So that's all to say. And it's a fact. That's why it just saddens me that very few people even talk about courage in the first place. There is very few people. A lot of so-called spiritual teachers out there, I don't really know anyone that talks about courage. And I mean talk about courage as in going out and making changes. More than just doing these minor personal things in your personal life. I'm talking about making real change in this world. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to courage. And that also means standing up for yourself and standing up for others if you find that person who's in trouble is in the right, and that person is actually getting trouble for being in the right. That's what I mean about courage. It just saddens me that, like I said, I'll put it this way. I just want more people out there to talk about courage, because courage is extremely important. To do this work requires courage because of the fact that you have to deal with people who will mock you, ridicule you, will physically and verbally threaten you, and so forth. And you have to risk losing family and friends behind doing this and speaking out the uncomfortable truths about this reality. And it's not to scare people to do this work. It's to empower people. You have to know how ugly it has gotten because of the fact that humanity for so long has been ignorant or have been ignoring it for so long and has gotten this bad. You have to speak out, because if we're going to attain true freedom in this reality, you have to know the negative. People like to talk about the positive all the time, but what use is the positive if we are not aware of the negative? Because what we need to do with the negative, we need to transform it into something positive, not ignore it, as a lot of people will tell you, especially in the New Age movement. Along with this New Age meme that you have to ignore the negative and just focus only on the positive. Not realizing that it's not only phony and fake to do that, or it makes you a fake or a phony person. It's going to lead us down the road of deeper enslavement and deeper tyranny. Most people are ignoring what's going on right now. I mean, look at the world around you. The geoengineering, people want to ignore that. They want to mock and ridicule you if you talk about that. And most of these people who do that are people who don't look into this. Or when they try to look into it, they just look at one article that, quote-unquote, debunks that is going on, and they're done. Without going any further, because of the fact that that just shows their lack of courage, and it shows their ultimate cowardice. Anyways, like I said, this planet is dying. I mean, the environment is taking a beating because of geoengineering. Yeah, and it's actually worsening this climate change situation. It's just making it, and it's just intensifying and exaggerating it. All these things that are going on are not Mother Nature's work. And you think so, you need to do your research. But most people don't want to do that because they want to stay in their bubble. They somehow think that you can continue to ignore this. And if you continue to ignore it, it's only going to get worse and worse. It's crazy because people don't even see that's in their face every day. They don't look up at the sky and wonder what is going on with it. They don't ask themselves questions because they're such a low state of consciousness. I think the biggest problem here is that this control system, this matrix, people are they just lack this hyper sense of awareness. And I think one way to get it back is through meditation. Learning to try to make it a point to meditate every day. That's something I've been doing lately. I've been trying hard. And I'm starting to get better at it because I've learned that when you meditate, when you close your eyes, you have to stare into the blackness at the center. Stare within the center. Just focus on that blackness. Don't think of anything. Just focus on that blackness. It helps. One of the main reasons why I always had trouble meditating is because what they never told me, anyone, I look at instructions, they never told me that you have to just stare at the center. Don't close your eyes as if you're trying to sleep. Close your eyes, but pretend your eyes are open and you're looking straight ahead at the blackness. That will help you. That will help calm your mind a lot. Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on that, but that's something I've been doing lately, and it's been working out great for me. Like I said, people just lack a hypersensitive awareness because they're under such deep hypnosis, or they have such great cognitive dissonance, or they have the solipsistic idea of reality, where the things in the reality that I don't want it don't exist, or I can make it disappear magically just with my thoughts alone. This nonsense. And like I said, one of the things of having courage is actually abandoning these fantasy notions of reality that are based in solipsism, this idea that I can make reality, that reality is just this big old dream where no one is real and that I exist, or that nothing can be known, there's no real truth. And since there's no real truth, I don't have to I don't have to actually look at all the negative and all the evil in the world, because of the fact that it's all my imagination. It's all somehow is an illusion. Not understanding that our creation, that these are based on our right and wrong actions that are based in nature, based on if your action created is actually going to cause harm or no harm. You understand? That's why the world is in the state it is now. Despite the powers that shouldn't be, a lot of people like to blame these people for everything, but you gotta understand that ultimately we are the ones that are causing all this. We're just only doing their work for them. Because most of these people, come on, you're dealing with a bunch of most of these people. Most of these people can't even crush a grape. A lot of them are a bunch of old people, like I say, who can't even physically crush a grape properly. I mean, come on, they can't do nothing physically to an adult if they tried. Like I said, the people who are ultimately causing all the suffering on this planet is general populace, because of the fact they believe in this religion called authority, believe that they have to do what someone tells them to do, and that it's justified and right. I mean, they think they have to do it because they've been told it's the right thing. You know what they say about the road to hell, and how it's paved with good intentions. I mean, and the good intentions, but a lot of people fail to see that. Having courage also is actually speaking out against those who work for these control-based institutions. If you work in government or you work in a corporation that is part of enslaving humanity, you got to have the courage to say you got to quit your job. You need to get out now, no matter what. Yeah, there's people out there who say, well, I need this money. But you know what? If people started quitting immediately in droves, we can shut this system down overnight. If we get people to stop buying into this idea that you have to follow your orders, which is actually the abdication of your personal responsibility, the abdication of choosing between right and wrong. You can't do that in nature. Because in fact, you're going to still have to suffer for consequences, because the universe works like that. The universe isn't going to say, oh, this guy had to do it because he was on a... No, it doesn't work like that. Because there's this idea that that someone told me I had to do it because he's in this position of authority doesn't exist in nature, like I said. And the universe actually doesn't... The universe, like I said, is an impersonal place. It's not there for your entertainment. It doesn't love anyone. It just is. It doesn't go, oh, wait, well, it's him or her. That's why when you fall off a cliff, it doesn't say, oh, look at that child. It's going to fall off the cliff. I better save it. No, the child's going to fall off the cliff if the child chooses to go off the cliff. Anyway, like I said, we need to just start talking more about courage. We need to start instilling courage into people, because if we don't, we're all going to be messed up.